Hey guys, it's Nicholas here from upgradeToLife.com and welcome to this video which is called Changing Your Past Via Your Imagination. Is it actually possible? And I know that when we hear those titles, when we hear those videos, when we speak about those topics, it can seem very conceptual. We can't grasp it, it's super subtle. But I want to try as best as I can to make this really practical for you so that if it is possible to change your past, for you to learn how you can actually do it, what you need to take into consideration, how this works, why this maybe even is possible. So let's just dive into this video right now. So first of all, the answer is a clear yes. And I know some of you might even have experiences with that and you kind of know, oh yeah, of course, I can imagine back and select another outcome that I would have wanted instead that it happened instead of the one that I actually still am identified with. So some of you maybe already slightly have some experience with that. And for some people, you maybe have a past event which you don't like, an undesired past event that is still alive, that is still coming up in form of a memory. And you now feel that this keeps bubbling up again and again. You feel that this keeps triggering you again and again. Or you even feel that this is reproducing itself in your outer world again and again because you are still identified with that one like specific past that you're identified with. So how can we break that? How can we change the past? So that's what I want to explain right now. Before we can practically apply it, we need to understand what past and also future are. We need to understand this whole topic of time, the present moment. We need to really understand this. And this will also sound pretty conceptual for some of you, really woo-woo. But that's the truth that you can discover your own from experience. Okay? Because the question to all of you listening right now, have you ever experienced anything else than the now moment? Really ask yourself that. Of course, you think of a past right now, what you did yesterday, 2 weeks ago. You think of potential futures that can happen and that you want to happen. But is there anything else other than the now that you have experienced in your life? And if you really investigate that, you will come to the conclusion that the only moment that you do have is right now and right here. And what you then understand is that the past and also future, they're basically imaginative constructs that we hold alive or that we make alive by tuning in a certain like potential that we want to manifest in what we call the future from a mind's perspective. Or we remember back something that happened yesterday, 2 weeks, 2 years, 20 years ago, which is also still while we're imagining it happening right now. And then we come to this deeper realization that everything is happening right now. There's only now. And again now, and again right now. And what I said 2 minutes ago at the beginning of this video was another now moment. And if you remember, if you now pause and remember back to the beginning of the video, and you remember when I introduced and said, hey guys, welcome to this video, that is also happening right now. All right? It's only now. It's only now. Past and future. It's not that the now is like a slice between a set in stone past and a set in stone future. No, it's more so that there is always now and you're constantly like moving through states, and what happened back then, it's actually still alive if you keep being identified with it. But I will explain more on that in a second. For me, just important is that there is only the now moment. Okay? Now, what you claim yourself to be in this present moment, right? What you claim yourself to have a life within you, to assume what you are identified with right now internally is what you will manifest in the thing that we call future. But actually there is no future. A consciousness knows no time. Your true self, your higher self, the creator, call it God, call it whatever resonates with you. Just words, remember? But from this bigger picture point of view, everything already exists. Creation is finished. So how can there be time if creation is finished? If everything already is, then how can there be time? Right? Time would mean that new things start to come and then this happens and this. No, everything is, but we just become aware of this snippet and then of this snippet and then of this snippet from a deeper spiritual point of view. But it all already exists. Right now, if I claim myself to now be this, to now have achieved this, I actually am it instantly internally, but in the three-dimensional world that we experience life in, it takes a little time until it is reflected back to us, because that's just the workings, the mechanics of this mirror. It's a little bit, it's reverberant, it's delayed. But I can instantly right now be in the wish fulfilled, and then what we call the future will reflect back to me what I now claim myself to be in the now moment. Okay? Now here's the thing. If you are still identified with your past, so with something that happened, you know, a undesired event that you feel as being undesired, as not being what you actually want to have happened, then you are carrying this with you. You're reproducing the results of that, right? Because your past is a continuous structure in the now. It's still alive. So if right now, let's just say, I will bring some examples in just a minute, but let's just say, okay, an event happened. It can be an accident. It can be that you really had a fight, an argument with someone, and you now remember that and place your awareness on that again, which is all in the now moment. You're just reinfecting yourself. You're just reacting to it again. You're just being in this old undesired state again right now, because that's the only thing you have. The only time you have is right now. So when you remember it back, you are right now in that undesired state again, and you will see the results of that again. You'll feel not good and in a bad mood again. And that is what most people do, is they reproduce the circumstances of their lives over and over again by carrying with them undesired identifications that we can now break. We can now change past things that happened in our past if we don't like them, if we feel that they still keep coming up and that they're still making us feel limited in a way. But here's an example for you to understand it even better, okay? Now let's just say a previous partner you had, a friend that you're having, a boss, anyone just treated you in a certain way that you didn't like, right? So they said something, there was an argument, there was a little fight maybe even, and then you unwittingly created, for example, the assumption that you're not wanted. A friend left you, a boss told you that you're not good, you will never earn more money because you're just always doing a bad job at work, or a previous partner told you that you are a bad partner and you can't be loved, whatever. It's a random example right now. But let's just say that happened in the past. And then out of that, you created this assumption that you're not wanted. And then let's just say that this memory is coming up right now. Okay, so this memory of where this partner said this, where this boss said this, where this friend said this is coming up right now. And then you are identified again with not being wanted. You are identified, you identify yourself again with that state because you still keep it alive. You still keep that certain version of the past still alive, identify back with it, and boom, you're again in the now moment identified with the state of not being wanted, for example, right? Because that past is still alive. You haven't erased it. You haven't revised it, okay? But we can change that memory. We can change that past. There is not only one past belonging to you. That would be the case if you think chronologically and if life would be chronologically, but it is not. Your awareness can make shifts from this timeline, from this state to that state. It's not that you need to go through like steps when you make conscious shifts. Externally, you will go through certain stages in the bridge, but internally, you can shift from here to here and from here to here, right? So again, let's say this memory is coming up, you're identified again, you're triggered again. So you can change that by imagining how you would have wanted the situation to happen. So basically, you select another past. There is not only one past that belongs to you. You think it because you keep that one past alive and re-identifying with it. Would you see, wait a second, okay, I imagined this again, I imagined this, okay. But instead of this argument, let me imagine that my boss actually told me that I'm always welcome in a company, that I'm one of the best workers here. Boom. That is also something that could have happened. But for whatever reason, this one past was what you shifted into. Now shift consciously into another past, another version of the past that you will then start to identify with. And then the old version of the past will seem to be unnatural, you will start to disidentify with it simply, and you will identify with a new state, which you will then carry with you, where there is no problem, where you don't carry undesired states with you, okay? So you select another past, and again, it will seem unnatural at first. So you had the argument with the boss. This memory comes up, like the boss told me I will never find a good job, I'm not a good worker, I'm not wanted, I can't find better jobs. So you carried it, you have this still alive within you right now, which again, you will then reproduce. So we can break that link, we can break that identification by, instead of dwelling on that one version of the past, we now select another version of the past. And maybe you now come up with a scene where the boss actually told you, wow, I would like to give you a higher position. Or hey, I would like to increase your salary because you're doing an amazing job and thank you for working in our company. And then you select that version of the past more and more and more by coming back to this new version of the past instead of falling automatically back to this previous version of the past that you were identified with, right? And by reimagining how you would have wanted things to happen, you now identify with this new state and lose identification with the old state. So no longer will this memory and this state where you feel, for example, unwanted, or this triggering memory will no longer be there. You will have erased it. Not erased it, it's still in existence, but you will have disidentified from it because you selected another version of the past, because you reimagined it. You selected something else. And I did that too. A great example that I had was, I think it was even 2020, so it was some time ago. But I remember that I had some little health symptoms. I felt low. I was laying in bed. I felt super like low energy, and I had some little symptoms. I didn't feel that I want to go out. And my friends asked me, this is the old past that I disidentified from. So my friends asked me, hey, Nicholas, do you want to hang out with us this weekend? We want to plan a little trip and go out there, go in the forest and do this and that, and then in the evening go eating something at a nice restaurant. But I said, no, I can't go there. And that really triggered me and kept the ill health symptoms basically alive. So then at one point I was like, wait a second, no, I would have wanted things to happen another way. Because that still triggered me and came up again and made alive this state of a little bit ill health again. So then I reimagined that, and I actually imagined that I did went out with them, that I did went to dinner with them. And all the past identifications with ill health and with not being able to go out and with not feeling healthy, they totally were excluded from my awareness. And now what was alive within me was that I totally went out with them, and that all is good, that my health was always good. And that immediately also changed, of course, how I feel in the now moment. I hope that example made sense. But again, by reimagining how you would have wanted things to happen instead of how you think they actually happened. So instead of the argument, you imagine that you hugged each other. Instead of someone telling you no, you imagine that they actually told you yes. You get the point? You now identify with a new state and lose identification with the old state, and therefore you will no longer carry it with you. Okay? So also, a quick reminder for you, it's not an actual circumstance itself that is a problem, right? It's how you look at the circumstance. Because there could be one objective outside circumstance, but 10 people look at it, and depending on their internal state, they look at it from a totally different point of view. You know, if there is a world money crisis, a poor person looks at this from a poverty state, looks like it, oh my God, I will lose all my money. Oh my God, I have to save. I can't spend right now because I have fear of losing it. A financial abundant, wealthy, financial stable person, they won't be triggered by this. They won't be reacted by the circumstance. So remember, a circumstance itself is also neutral. You can change your viewpoint on it. If there is a circumstance that you previously have not had a good viewpoint on, by reimagining that you were in another state. And again, more examples, right? For examples, I always get treated a certain way. I always get ill at this time of the year. Relationships are always a struggle. I always lose all the money that I make, right? Whatever you keep alive as a construct, as a continuous playing out state, go back and what would have been like if you would already have been in a really good way? What if since the last 2 years you would have always been healthy all the year and not have gotten sick at a certain time of the year? What if your relationships always were easy? So if you now have a life in your past circumstances where you feel actually the opposite, like, oh no, relationships always struggle because I always had arguments, reimagine that to a point where you feel like you never actually had arguments, which will then change your connection and your state, how you view relationships. So the one and only goal, right, is that we change what we are identified with here and now. Meaning when you do go back into your past via your imagination and select another version, again, like I explained, that is still something you do right now, right here. So you still change your internal world in the here and now, which will then have effects in the current mirror images and which will then later show up on the screen of your space. So again, the only goal is that we change if there are things alive within us that we don't want to keep alive, and we want to change what we have and are identified with within ourselves here and now. And therefore, the most important thing to understand is how to shift in a desired state. If that is how to imagine back and select another version of the past, select another state so that we're identified with that, or if we have future goals and we shift in the state of now having them already, and all we do is right now, right here, within us, make alive a new state, a state of the wish fulfilled. And if you want to learn more about that, I highly recommend you check out the free masterclass. That's the first link in the video description and pinned comments, where I tell you why some people struggle, how to become, let go of your fears, how to shift into the version of yourself that is unstuck, that has full faith, that is able to manifest your goals with ease, and so that you can internally align yourself to the state of the wish fulfilled. Right? And if you want to really integrate this, apply this, go a level deeper, have me on your team, in your corner, as a accountability partner, a coach, a mentor, a friend, and you want to work with me to master Neville's principles and manifest your goals, then I invite you to schedule a free call with me so that we can find out if we are a good fit to work together in my program. So the purpose of this video was to show you that yes, you can change your past. Be honest with yourself and see, okay, is there something coming up from your past that is still triggering you, that is still making you react, that you still don't like? Then don't accept it as final. Reimagine an alternate version, something that you would have wanted instead, that should have happened in your most likely point of view. Because then you start to disidentify with this old version of the past. You make a life right now, right here, this new version of the past, and that will bring you more ease, and that will bring you new results, other manifestations that will change everything, because you changed what you were identified with within, and that will always lead to new results, right? So it's basically, the final word is what I'm going to say, is that is finally revision at its finest. You revise things. So instead of keep dwelling on the incident, keep dwelling on the fight, keep dwelling on the argument, you no longer keep dwelling on it and making it alive again and again and again. You let that die by making alive an alternate version of the past, which is still happening right now, right here. All right? So let me know in the comments down below if that makes sense, if I was able to somehow practically explain you how to do it, if you feel comfortable with that, if you have experiences with that, or even if you have any successes on that. And I look forward to speaking to you in the next video. Bye, guys.